All right, good day, hi, and welcome. All right, I've got an interesting topic for you today about chainsaws. But before we do, let's introduce one of my newest chainsaw members. This is my still MS-180, aka Mini Beast. I love this little saw; it is fantastic. And then, of course, my oldest saw, my awesome companion, the legendary Ninja Shark MS-260. Still, this saw is probably the most perfect in the middle of the road do-it-all saw. I love that. I want to buy one new, but Ninja Shark, and it still he still runs, but he definitely needs a tune-up. And then the big bad boy here, which is also a 50cc saw, 31 cc's, 50 cc's on Ninja Shark there, and this is Sasquatch. This is the MS-270, basically the hot rodded version of that saw. And this is a big, heavy beast of a saw. Yeah, you would kill a tree like that just because this thing is a cutting machine. Again, needs maintenance. In the process of breaking it down because I just got it. But the topic of today is for somebody who's new to chainsaws. Is a smaller saw safer to start with? Here's the thing, okay? If I was going to recommend a saw, depending on obviously what you're doing with it, but let's say it's a saw that would require jobs that any one of these are capable of doing. So for falling trees, this is really and doing heavy stove wood all day, this is really the saw you want. The saw that you carry around, you do branches, you do stove wood, you do just about everything. You don't fall as many trees. This is definitely the saw you want because it's a little bit lighter than that guy. This saw is just absolutely awesome. You're just murdering branches and, small yard work stuff, the odd bit of stove wood. Yeah, this little guy is probably, most people, this is the type of saw they need. But there's a problem with a small saw. And the first problem is the illusion that it's safer than the bigger saws. First off, all chainsaws are incredibly dangerous. So what is a chainsaw? Okay, let's take a motor, rev it to insanity and put a rev limiter just before it blows up. And then let's take a bar, put a chain on it that can cut through a tank. What could possibly go wrong, right? They're dangerous. Who's that? Somebody coming up the road pretty fast. Not sure where they're going. Anyway. Okay, not coming here. So here's the thing. This saw, okay, first we've got to talk about the danger point of the saws. The danger point on this saw is the same danger point on this saw and the same danger point on this saw. And it's really right around here, right? This zone right here. This is where everything kicks back. This is where when you're sawing and you go like here, the saw wants to kick back. This is a little bit heavier, so it will kick back fast. Hence why you have the brake. So when the saw, what the brake does, yeah, I'll show you. I'll grab Ninja Shark because I haven't. So I'm going like that and go, whoa. Okay, that's my brake, right? So if you're lucky, you just get a gash in the head. If you're wearing your equipment, hopefully you don't get any gash. But that's what the brake does. But the saw's here, right? Oh, it's probably going to do that. Boom. It's right here. You see what I mean? That's close. That's a little clue. That's the other one's too close for comfort. And the same thing with that. The other thing is, even these big heavy saws will kick back faster. There's no person that can hold back. There's not a human being on the planet that can hold back a chainsaw, even the small one, from kicking back. And this will kick back 3 times faster than that. And that kicks it back at a speed you can't even see it coming at you. So that's the heaviest saw. And again, heavy saw's got more power, but it's got more weight. So, a lot of times it's going to do that, right? Or do that. But you saw how close that short little blade or bar is. And these two saws, big saws, have 16-inch bars. But you got a longer body here. Let's put the 270. It's almost a 4-inch 5-inch difference. So this is really short, and that's one of the problems. It's short and it's light. Short and light, combined with high RPMs in the danger zone. And this is your danger zone of the edge of this is the hardest to cut with, because it's what skips back at you. The second you get there, it kicks back, right? And I don't care who you are, there is no professional chainsaw arborist on the planet that hasn't had a saw kick back on them. I'm not a professional, don't have to be a professional. I'm just telling you that's the nature of chainsaws. And I'm not trying to scare people away from buying small saws or anything like that, because you probably don't need this. You know, like this is a falling saw. That's the hot rod saw. I can't wait till I get them 100% running right. Most people this has been a good saw. This is the only saw I've used for 10 years. And now I got this little guy and a bunch of other little guys over there. I'm getting quite the collection. But this little saw, like, it's really good for a lot of stuff. But with this saw, because it's so light, you're doing this and this and this and this with it a lot easier than well, I'll grab Ninja Shark because I don't want to throat my back when you're doing this, you know, this, whatever. So you tend to not move as fast with it. So this, you tend to, okay, and then go. Okay, and then go, right? Where this, like I say, you're pretty much, you know, you know, you're just, because it's lighter. And you get overly confident when it's lighter. Especially when you're doing a whole bunch of branches, limbing. Say a tree like that falls down and you're limbing. Well, you don't want to be at it for 9 days, right? So you got to be careful that you don't get careless, because you're going to build your confidence faster with a small saw because it's easier to use, easier to start. But that said, this saw and this saw, that saw probably easier to start than this saw. It has a decompressor, This saw, it's no harder to pull over than that saw. That's one thing I love about the Stills, is they start really, really well. So really, these two saws for starting, there's almost, because you got that decompressor there, you push it in and then you pull it and away she goes, right? But what the big thing is that a smaller saw is easier to manipulate because it's shorter, and it's lighter. So when it kicks back, it kicks back twice as fast as these bigger saws, even though it's less power. It's just the angular momentum, blah, blah, blah. You know, so it's something that you have to keep in mind. So I'm not saying don't buy a small saw, but if you think you're going to buy a small saw because it's less intimidating, understand that the danger zone is the same on each saw. But the worst part is that because you got a shorter bar, because you got a shorter overall body, this thing is closer to you. So, and it's going to kick back faster while it's closer to you. So, and it will do it. You're going to guaranteed at some point. You do it less the more experience you get, but you will get at some point. You're going to, you know, hit brush or whatever. You're going to cut through something that's going to hit something off the other side, and it's just the nature of saws, right? You know, it's a messy job. So I just wanted to make sure people understood that saws are not more safe when they're smaller. You got to be just as attentive with the small saw as you do with the big saw. It's just because I do see people, you know, my regular running abouts, I do see people, you know, that don't know how to use saws at all. They have no safety cutting tech, like they cut in sandals, you know what I mean? They don't wear eye protection, they're cutting in sandals. You'll find all kinds of videos of YouTubes of guys falling big ass trees like this, no helmet on, nothing like that. Yeah, I've done it, you know, because I couldn't afford it, but get the safety equipment. If you know, like, I know people that have died in the bush, so from saws. And the statistic is, if you work in the bush with a saw, within 7 to 10 years, you're going to have a major accident. That's the statistic. It's one of the most dangerous tools you can use next to a hand grinder, right? More related injuries with these type of tools than just about anything. So it is good to know that knowledge that, you know, you're not, you know, you never want to be complacent. You never want to be assuming that just because this is the big powerful saw, that's the dangerous saw, but this is a little less powerful, so it's not as dangerous, and this is the least powerful, so it's not as dangerous. They're all dangerous. Danger, danger, danger. You know, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you're new, not trying to intimidate anybody with saws, but there's a lot of things you can do for cutting techniques and stuff like that. Learn properly. That way, when the saw does kick back, you're not in the way of it. And that's a whole video onto itself. So anyway, there we go. So bigger saws, little saws, you got to treat them all with respect, but just be mindful that these things are, it's like a snub nose 45, you know what I mean? Like it's very manipulated. You don't want to be shooting your own foot, you know what I mean? All right, there we go.